Special meeting of the Salem City Council was held remotely on Thursday, December 10th, 2020 at 6:15, or actually 6:27, for the purpose of take action on committee reports for the second passage of a $16.1 million bond order for Signature Parts Improvement Program, as well as the plastics ordinance, gas ban ordinance, green buildings ordinance, as well as carry matters forward from the Committee of Public Health, Safety and Environment and Government Services pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Section 30, Chapter 30, Section 20, the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This special meeting of the Salem City Council meeting will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the city's website, www.salem.com. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the city's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive recording of proceedings as soon as possible for this meeting. For this meeting, and members of the public wish to watch and listen to the meeting, they may do so in the following manner. They click the link on the city's webpage and use the password 789863, or go to Zoom and enter the webinar ID 881-9094-1650, followed by the meeting password as was stated above. By telephone, participants can dial the toll-free number 877-853-5257 or 888-475-4499. When prompted, enter the meeting webinar ID number 881-9094-1650 and follow the instructions to join the meeting. This meeting is live on SATV channel 22. December 10th, 2020, a special meeting of the City Council. A special meeting of the City Council was held remotely on Thursday, December 10th, 2020 at 6:15 p.m. for the purpose of taking action on committee reports for second passage of a $16.1 million bond order for the Signature Parts Improvement Program, as well as the plastics ordinance, gas ban ordinance, green buildings ordinance, as well as carry matters forward from the Committee on Public Health, Safety and Environment and Government Services. Notice this meeting was posted on December 7th, 2020 at 11:37 a.m. Currently, all councilors are present. Council President McCarthy presided, and we'll jump right in with committee reports. Council Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. The City of Salem City Council, the Committee Administration Finance co-post with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of the $16.1 million bond order appropriated to pay costs of Signature Parks Improvement Program, and has considered said matter, would recommend approval for second and final passage by roll call vote.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Let the record reflect, I saw 10 hands plus my own. On adoption of the recommendation by roll call vote, Council Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we had a very short meeting where we had re-voted from our the vote that we took at last Tuesday's meeting, but the vote wasn't valid due to sunshine ordinance issues. So we had 2.25 hours of discussion last week. We didn't do another round of that this time around. We just took care of the voting matter. But I think that generally the mindset on the committee is that you always have to look really hard at any big number that comes across that isn't a statutory number. And something to be very careful about and very considerate about. But for, I believe, most of us, the expenditure here is over a period of time and is aimed at a lot of things that will make a real improvement to the city. And also, with the one exception that I'll say of Forest River, which has already gone through all the permitting, design phases of the project and is actually in the demolition phase right now. With the exception of that, all these projects still have public review that they'll be going through and design finalization. So there's going to be a lot more opportunities for the public and for our members to have some say in the process with the Parks and Rec Department and with their board. And ultimately, should we move forward, this will just help us a lot and save money in the long term for the taxpayers. So with that, I open up for any other discussion.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Dominguez, then Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to comment on this matter in front of us. It's, to me, it is wrong time to go over this request. 16 million point one is a lot of money to improve our park. However, I think it's a great idea. Don't get me wrong. I'm in favor of repairing our park and our public spaces. They are best, and I'm one of the person who advocate for the park the most in all my life. Not only because of my family, but because of my community. But I also feel that it's a lot of priorities that we need to take into consideration. Even though we don't want it to pay that attention, but I think that we are in a very historical moment. This pandemic is one of the worst, might be the worst that anyone in this panel has witnessed. Pandemic is taking away a lot of people. We don't know what's going to happen after. It's going to be basically maybe another pandemic, which might take away some of the ability of cities and towns to continue to function. And I think that we should be focusing on those priorities. We have local priorities here that we need to address. Not to mention, or to mention some of them, I think that we need to take more attention to our parks, our street that need to be paved. We need to pay attention to the library who have some needs of renovation on the system. And we also need to understand that it's a big community of business owners who are struggling to survive. We've seen businesses closing just because being impacted by the pandemic. However, I think that the argument that we're going to have a low interest rate is not really too heavy to see the human needs that we see in our city that's going to be as a consequence of this pandemic. Wait 6 or 1 year doesn't going to hurt. I feel that you actually will maybe hurt in a couple of points on percentage, but we don't know what happened. We don't know what's going to happen after. We don't know if we're going to be able to continue forward with the plan that we propose to renovate those parts, because we don't know if the community of the city will be able to continue to function economically. I may be one of the few people here who might be saying this, but I'm the liaison for Park and Recreation. And I also part of a community that in some instances need the Pamlico Park to play. They've been charged to play. So on top of being charged because they want to use the park, big amount of money, we also gonna get some funds that need to be paid from the taxpayers. That's gonna be another situation. Most of the people in that area are being hit by unemployed because of the pandemic. And on top of that, we're gonna continue to put a more harder time economically wise into that group of people. I wanted to see also a better plan. I don't hear no plans. We know that we are lacking on maintenance. I don't see a very clear plan how we're going to maintain those parks. That's one. The other thing is I don't see, like we hear from someone of the public, the ADA components is not clearly addressed. We need to make sure that if we're going to do any renovation of our park, the ADA component needs to be there. I understand that the majority of the councilor or my colleagues here in this panel are in favor. I don't want to look like someone like I hear in the news, like someone who want to say no. I don't say no because I'm opposing any one idea. If I say no because I want to use my common sense. This is the logic that I have when I take my decision. I see my family. I'm at this moment, I'm in a budget. I'm not going to borrow any money right now because we don't know what's going to happen after. The same thing, I don't want that to happen to other families. So if we can address this in a different way, it would be better. So I hopefully made my point clear enough to let people know that this is the wrong time. This is not the time to borrow any money. This is not the time to plan for something that it is necessary, but it's not essential. The essential right now, we need to be focusing on how we're going to be able to help those businesses so they can stay open. How we're going to be able to continue to deal with this pandemic. How we're going to be able to deal with unemployment. How we're going to be able to deal with what's going to happen after. I don't hear none of that. I know that we, so far, as a city, have been very lucky not to have any emergency. According to the new, the best, I mean, the worst part of this pandemic is not yet here. So considering all of that and seeing all of that, I think that it's time for us to think in a different way, in a way that we prioritize what really are the humans that live in here in the city of Salem. I'm not a person to, like I said, I don't want it to be the block. I don't really be able to be to blow this action. I see that many people are in favor of this. I mean, I am in favor, but I think the timing for this is wrong. Hopefully, if this passes, no matter what happened tonight, if it passes, hopefully, I hope that I'm wrong and the majority of people are right. But hopefully, if we are careful enough, we can make a decision that can be beneficial for everyone. Holding this 6 months or a year doesn't going to hurt anyone. It's going to be making possible that we can be able more precaution in the move that we need to be ahead of time, and then we can go ahead and present this action that needs to be made. And I yield. Thank you.
Sorry, Council Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I get started, I have a couple comments real fast. I was wondering if you can address the public comment. Will we be allowed to hear from the public here tonight?
This is a special meeting under the rules written by the City Council. Special meetings do not have a public comment period. Only regular scheduled City Council meetings have public comment periods.
Right, but we can, you as president can allow it if you so choose.
I could, but that would be up to the body. That isn't solely up to me. And I would not be inclined to hear from somebody I've already heard from on this issue.
I would agree to that. Repeat comments, unless they're offering something new, obviously.
Obviously, I mean, you can say they're offering something new, but we have to go back and realize that this first bond order came on in sometime in November. There was public comment at that point. There was public comment at the committee meeting. There was public comment at the last council meeting when we basically moved to make sure that we were crossing all the I's and dotting all the T's. So there has been ample opportunity for the public to weigh in, but that isn't ultimately my decision on its own. Do you have a question or do you have a comment?
No, I have the request to you is to allow public comment. Because on the attendee list, I'm seeing new names that have not spoken in the past.
That would not be solely up to me. Someone would have to waive the rule, and then we'd have to put it to a vote to allow public comment. You have to understand the rules.
I'm not familiar with this rule because every public meeting, every special meeting, every committee meeting, I've always allowed public comment. So I'm just stating for the record. Yep.
The way that the body, you have to understand, only up until recently, probably in the last 8 years, there was no public comment period during a city council meeting. The only time you were allowed to make public comments was during committee meetings. The council meetings were councilors only. The city council, back in its wisdom, 8, 10 years, 12 years ago, I don't remember exactly what year it was. I was on the council when it happened, because when I first started, there was no comment from the public at all. We opened up a specific period of time on issues that were only on the agenda. And that was only for regularly scheduled, the way it's written, was for only regularly scheduled council meetings. This is not a regularly scheduled council meeting. This is a special meeting. Therefore, it does not fall under the rules that there is a scheduled council meeting, a scheduled public comment period. There is no public comment period. So it falls back under the old rules. If someone wants to waive the rules, ask to waive the rules and can get a majority of the council to have waived the rules, then that could be considered.
No trouble, Mr. President. I thank you for the clarification. So I guess I move to waive the rules to allow the public, if anybody from the public, to speak that hasn't already spoken on the matter.
Councilor Dibble moves to waive the rules. I'm assuming Councilor Dominguez hands up because he wants to second that.
Yeah.
I'll object.
Councilor Torres object. The rule states that objections are non-debatable, so that means that we cannot vote on that. Councilor Dibble, do you have a question? The rules state that as soon as a member of the city council objects, that until he withdraws his objection, you can't move on the question that was brought forward with regards to waiving the rules. So therefore, Councilor Torres has objected. So therefore, we have to keep moving forward. Councilor Dibble.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. President. So for the record, I'm in disagreement, and I'd like to hear from the public, but seeing that it's been objected by the Ward 5 councilor, we'll need to go forward. So with that, I'd like to offer some comments, if I may.
Yep, you have the floor.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. President. And I apologize for being late. I had 7 o'clock on my calendar. No
apology necessary.
With Zoom, somehow it was 6:15, but that's okay. Here we are. We're here now. So I'm going to keep my comments very brief on this because you all know about what I'm about to say, and I've already said quite a bit of this, but I am a park person, as I said before. For the last 3 decades, I've been working on park improvements. I'm a park person, a playground person. I've built and designed over 1,200 playgrounds in Northeast United States. I've made repairs to every single park in the city of Salem back in the 80s and 90s, and then afterwards as volunteer as well. I think $16.1 million is a whole lot of money. $16,100,000 is a tremendous amount of money to be spending on, I think, 5 or 6 parks. So I question 2 things. Is there waste in there that the amount could have and should have been reduced down? And is the timing wrong? The timing, I think, is absolutely wrong. You know, we're looking at, we've just had voluntary furloughs. We discussed possible layoffs. We have businesses suffering. We have some businesses that are closing. Our immediate future is a little bit unknown. What kind of financial shape we'll be in. So $16.1 million is a tremendous amount. Of that, some $13.1 million or so is for the Forest River Park pool. That's huge numbers. So I guess I'd like to see the parks go forward and be ready for our 400th anniversary. But it's just too much money in my mind's eye, Mr. President. So I'm going to move right now that we reduce the $16.1 million down to $3.0 million, which will include everything on the list except for the pool, which is $13.1 million. So my motion is to reduce the bond capacity, the bond order down to $3.0 million.
Not seeing a second. Is there anyone else?
I second it.
Councilor Dominguez with a second. There's a motion on the floor by Councilor Dibble to reduce the bond authorization from 16.1 down to 3, seconded by Councilor Dominguez. Any further discussion? On Councilor Dibble's amendment, Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilor Dibble?
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
Councilor Flynn?
No.
Councilor Hapworth?
No.
Councilor Maduro?
No.
Councilor Marcelo?
No.
Councilor Kwasniewski?
No.
Councilor Riccardi?
No.
Councilor Sargent?
No.
Councilor Torrio?
No.
And Councilor McCarthy?
No. On the matter of Councilor Dibble's amendment to reduce the bond order from $16.1 million down to $3 million, we have 11 members voting, 2 in the affirmative, 9 in the negative. The matter does not carry. Further discussion on this bond order.
Mr. President,
Council Sergeant.
just to point out, we've got quite an echo. I wonder if somebody has two devices running, carrying this on two different things at the same time.
I'm not sure. Everyone seems to be muted at this point.
The city clerk sound card is, sound input is a little weak on her computer at home.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? Councilor Happenbrook.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say that I think we're all in a general agreement that the parks need improvement here. If I look at just based on constituent feedback right now, we've had, I think I did a quick count, 50 total emails have come in, at least to the at-large councilors. 45 of those emails have been in support, which is the most one-sided I've ever seen on any issue. So I think if we look at just generally, like, the people of Salem need these parks improved. I think there's an agreement that we need ADA compliance to come to those parks. We need climate resiliency, historic preservation. There's a lot of things that are in need in our parks. There's probably $30 million of need right now. But this is just $16 million right now. It's not something we're borrowing today. Eileen, are you able to, I'm sorry, are you able to mute get a lot of feedback? It's not an amount of money that we're borrowing today. It's $16.1 million that we're borrowing over the next 6 years, and we're paying back over the next 24, 25 years, something along those lines. And this is the time, and I know there's an argument, this is not the time to borrow. This is exactly the time to borrow. This is when the interest rates are at their lowest. I think there's a general agreement among all councilors that we want taxes to go down and we want to save people the most money possible. If we're going to be spending this money and we're going to bond for this at some point in the future, these are improvements that have to happen. This is the time right now to say yes to this, because we've got improvements that need to happen, and we've got an interest rate that is low. And this is something that smart companies, smart municipalities do, is they borrow when interest rates are low. So I hope we can get to some sort of agreement, because the parks are there and the parks need our help. And we need to do this in a way that's going to save the people of Salem the most money possible. Thank you.
You're mute, isn't it?
I thought it might be me with the feedback. I'm on all the time. I apologize. Council Dominguez, then Council Torrio.
Yeah, I'm going to be brief because I already, I think that I did a very long speech. I had to agree with you, Councilor Large type. I received a lot of email. I think maybe the same amount that he's receiving favor, some in favor, and some not in favor. And I represent the voice of those people too. And I understand where they're coming from. I understand basically that the park needs to be fixed. And I think no one here is against fixing the park. I'm going to honor those people who are in favor. And I'm going to reconsider my position. I'm not in favor of the timing. This is basically my point. Timing, I think, is a little bit precipitated because of the situation we are now. We understand that the park needs to be fixed. There's no doubt. We need to have we as a city need to make sure that our park being very represented. So I applaud that action. So I'm going to reconsider my action, and I will vote. I hope that I be wrong and so many people are right. So yes, by saying that, I'm going to change my position, and I'm going to reconsider. I don't want to be paint like some other people already painting me like guy. Like I say, I'm not afraid of taking my position at any point. But at this point, I think that this is what the will of the body want. This is what most of the people want. That's what I was elected for. I'm going to honor the majority of the people who have approached me. So that's what I say. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this is something that is not, or to me, it was not quite as clear cut immediately, whoa. And I've seen the price tag, seeing the large amount of money involved. And that's what, at least in my case, induced me to try and dig deeper into it, look at the debt schedules, look at what we have for capital expenses, and look at our financial position. We are fairly lucky in Salem right now that we have come, because we were pretty conservative in the budget cycle, we have come through this first financial phase of the pandemic in better position than we feared we would be in. The state has shown a commitment to hold level, which will help us and will help us retain a strong financial position going forward. And so I think, the time to make moves is generally when you're in a position of strength. And the city has better reserves than we've ever had. We have a better bond rating than we've ever had. So this is when we can tackle the bigger things and do it, and get a lot of these things that people in the city have been telling us that they want improved, that they want fixed, that they want made better. Finish the common, do all the work at the Salem Willows, put the new pool in, do all these things to make our city parks, which are so popular and so widely used, make them better places for everyone. So it's a good opportunity for us to do it and then save the taxpayers money in the long term by doing so. And, we are still very much in a pandemic, and there's a lot of uncertainty in day-to-day life. On the positive side, the first vaccine was approved this afternoon. So, the cavalry is coming, fortunately, and we are going to get out of this, and we will be, we will have I don't know exactly when and exactly what the timing is. And as I think you guys know, I've been in one of the vaccine trials myself as a volunteer, but, help is on the way. We are going to be coming out of this, and hopefully we're going to have a relatively normal summer and fall, and the, business, do everything you can to support our local businesses that have been and really are struggling, and help them get through this, and they'll still be here for us when we get back, and they'll still be a vital part of this city. So, thank you.
Thank you. Council Madore.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have any questions, but I'd like to make a few remarks. I take this position knowing that I have to make some informed decisions. It's a combination of constituents' opinions, my own research, and just in general asking questions of the staff, and use that as a collective understanding of the decision that I'm about to make. I'm hearing a lot of, it's not the right time to borrow this money, the interest rate might be lower, or, there are all these uncertainties ahead of us. And that suggests to me that we might be making a decision based on the unknown. And I'm basing my decision on what we know now, which are facts. We have a high bond rating, we have low interest rates, the construction costs are going to get higher, and based on that information, this is a fiscally responsible decision to make for our taxpayers. We can hope and pray that the interest rates will go down, but hoping and praying is not going to make the interest rate go down. We know the interest rates are low. So we need to make that decision, or we can vote against it, and maybe the interest rate will go down, but that is an uncertainty. And I'm voting to support this on facts before us that we have certainties on. And the idea that this is not the right time to borrow, I just want to remind my colleagues and our business community and residents across the city, a lot of businesses have to borrow money right now to make sure that their businesses stay afloat. The PPP loan, the revolving loan fund that we just announced a couple of days ago, those offer very low interest rate for some relief. So we're saying that we can't borrow, is not the right time, but we forget the fact that some businesses have to borrow to stay afloat for the long-term survival. And I would apply that logic to our parks. we take advantage of this opportunity for long-term sustainability of our parks. That is so important that we make this decision now for the next 400 years. And I also want to bring up the fact that, you know, I meet with the EDR every week, and there are weeks where we're just, you know, we're looking down. It's full of despair. And there are weeks that we have small wins, that we hear maybe a small business was able to cut a ribbon, or, you know, are seeing a really good response on their online shopping after pivoting. We have some success stories, but more often than not, we have stories that we just don't feel helpless about. And we know that there are businesses closing. We know the restaurants will be struggling. And I want to name them. If you know the businesses are struggling, I urge you to name them and name their owners, and tell your constituents where they are so they can support them. These businesses have names. And we all got a little postcard in the mail a couple of weeks ago with this punch cards, encouraging everyone to go downtown and spend money downtown. And I want to challenge everyone in this meeting and the public as well. When was the last time you shopped or dined at a local restaurant? It might have been much longer than you think. So I want to challenge everyone to visit a local business or two, or get takeout tonight after dinner, because I definitely plan to do that. I think I'm going to walk over to Settler and get a couple of pasta dishes, because I know that they just opened before the pandemic and they need our help. I saw them giving out turkey dinners during Thanksgiving, and that was a great thing that they did. Ledger is back to doing Ledger Basket, and Matt O'Neill, the owner, he made a really, really heartfelt plea online that we all need to support them. And then just today, I found out there's a new business on Central Street called Deal and Marcus, selling candles and tea at the old bank. And I was surprised that they were doing so well. So these are businesses that, you know, they're just not a lump. They're special to us. And I want all of us to really think about how we can continue to support them through action and not just talk about them. And then lastly, this is all about equity, supporting our parks. Our parks are the great equalizer. There are no gates for us to enter our parks. The parks don't care what you look like, where you're from, what you do. You can come and play, you can rest, you can meet friends. And that's the wonderful part of our parks. Everyone is equal. And maybe there are fees that are associated with membership in the pool and other activities. The Park and Rec might impose fees on certain activities, but that's up to this body to amend if we feel that creates inequities. Bring forward an amendment to change the fee structure. That's completely under our control. We can do that in January. But right now we need to make the investment for future generations. My children have never been to the Forest River Park pool. We've been there once, and my son actually was too afraid to go in the pool. But now he's a fantastic swimmer. I would love to see him go back. I hope that's either next summer or 2 summers from now. That would be a fantastic memory-making place for not just my family, but all families across Salem. So I really hope that we pass this tonight. I really would like to see this done. And if not, I urge my counselors who voted no to come forward. And, you know, how are we going to pay for the changes, the ADA improvements? How are we going to pay for that through our budget? I'm really sincerely asking what the plan is to pay for it if we're not going to borrow this amount of money to improve our parks. And I yield. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. President, can I ask a couple of questions, if I may?
I'm going to go. I'll come back to you. I'm going to go to someone else who hasn't spoken yet. Councilman Sol.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am in favor of this bond order for all of the reasons that have been mentioned so far. And equity in our the parks in our city are the great equalizer, like Christine said. They are an important amenity to every resident in the city, no matter your age, no matter your economic background. It makes no difference. I am the liaison to the Board of Health, and the Board of Health sent the counselors a letter yesterday, and with your permission, Mr. President, I would like to read it into the record.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dear council members, we are writing to express our unequivocal support for the signature parks bond you will be voting on during tomorrow's special meeting. Support for our parks is more important than ever, as the COVID-19 pandemic has brought into stark relief the importance of clean, safe, and open spaces for our community members to get fresh air, exercise, and peace. Support for this bond is also a matter of equity that builds on the important work of the Salem Race Equity Task Force. Parks are one of the few amenities available to community members regardless of age, income, race, or ethnicity, gender, citizenship status, or ability. Salem's parks and playgrounds provide spaces for people to exercise, build community, and enjoy our city's beautiful coastline. They are distributed throughout the city, which means they are accessible to diverse communities, not just those with means. Moreover, the improvements this bond will facilitate builds on the advocacy efforts of community leaders like Councillor Flynn, who has worked to secure ADA accessible play structures in Salem. Parks are also spaces where communities can mitigate existing health disparities. Decades of existing research shows that health is about more than diet and exercise. Health also entails feelings of community, belonging, and ownership over one's time and space. Research also shows that these aspects of health are distributed unevenly in nearly every community in the United States, including our own. Access to quality parks can help address health disparities by providing peaceful, communal spaces where people can relax, connect with one another, and explore. This is particularly beneficial for communities of color in urban areas like Salem, and is associated with lower rates of obesity, cardiovascular disease, and poor mental health among our most vulnerable populations. We understand these projects are at various stages of planning and design, but that a significant portion of the funds will be used for the Forest River Park public swimming pool and community room. The pool will be accessible to all Salem residents regardless of income, and while there may be fees associated with entry, these will be waived if economic means merit, as has been the case for years. This facility is a gift in a community where public swimming pools, that is, pools owned by the community rather than private or nonprofit entity, are non-existent, and it will provide meaningful summer employment for hardworking high school and college students. Moreover, based on past usage, we know the Forest River Park swimming pool is used by many lower income families and families of color who cannot afford access to local indoor swimming pools. Finally, these upgrades will provide much needed employment amid a tenuous economy. These projects will employ workers who will likely spend at least some of their income in Salem businesses and restaurants, ensuring both the dignity of work and a meaningful stimulus to the local economy. Now is the time to leverage the community's historically low interest rates and the city's historically high bond rating, both of which will ensure a fiscally responsible approach to funding these upgrades. Waiting to secure funding will likely increase the overall costs of these projects and delay what will be significant benefits to our community. Given these considerations, common sense suggests that we cannot afford to delay these upgrades. We hope you will vote to promote public health and health equity in our community by providing this long-lasting gift to future generations in Salem. Thank you very much. I think that really summed up all of my feelings. It hit across the board, all of the different topics that people have brought up. but it's really equity, and we've learned so much this past year during COVID, how important our parks really are to everyone in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Dominguez, do you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. And I'm going to try to be short too. I just want to repeat that I don't think that anyone in here is against, repairing our park. I think everybody agreed with most of the comments from the public and from everywhere. But I have a couple of questions to follow up that I wanted to ask. One is that there is any maintenance plan that we can see or we can educate the public, because I think that's one of the questions that many people ask. That's one. Secondly, I personally wanted to see a revised charging plan, especially on Palmer Code. We have the league, the softball league, who cannot afford to play in our own park. And we're going to spend $16.1 million on those parks, and that our residents cannot be able to use, and they had to put a lot of pressure. I know there is a waiver system, but they was not allowed. And I refer to a couple of meetings that I had, even with the good councilor of Ward 1, mayor, and some other members of the community, and nothing happened. And I see a lot of complaint on that. I would like to see a plan that can alleviate that situation. So, another question that I have is regarding the ADU component. It's possible that we can concentrate on one of the 6 parts that we're talking about to make sure that one is ready, so we can provide alleviation to those complaints that we hear a lot. In every meeting that we have members of the community complaining and saying that ADA is not really up to the capacity here in the city of Salem. Can we focus on either one of the 6 parts that we're talking about that we're going to repair to be ADA compliant completely, and then we can move forward to the other part? That's a question that nobody had to answer me, but I just want to leave that. That's the question that I have all the time. The other one that I have is how long or what time frames are we talking about to see those 6 parks ready to go after we apply for these funds? I know that the funds is a time matter, maybe in a couple of 6 years from now, but what we're talking about that with this money in place, we're going to be able to see Forest River ready for this summer or whatever plan we have. It is a question that people ask because it's a lot of information in the air. A lot of people thinking that because we borrow those money, tomorrow we're going to have the park ready, and this summer everybody going to be able to be in the swimming pool. And I also wanted to see a waiver plan for the pool in regard to those people that is mentioned in the letter. The most needed one, they need waiver, but that's not the case in everywhere. We have a lot of difference on income level here in Salem, and most of the people sometimes they don't be able to use it because they cannot afford to use it. So I wanted to see a plan on that. Like I say, I don't need to have answer to those. I just want that question to be on top of everybody's head so we can provide answer, because those questions are in the general public.
Council Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I won't go to try and address all these points, but I will say, for the benefit of anybody who is listening to this or watching, that the answer to the timetable of these proposed improvements is on the salem.com/signature parks link. In the documentation in there is the schedule of what projects would be done when the permitting takes place, when they're anticipated to open. The hope is to have the pool open for next season at some point. Probably not right at what would be the beginning of the season, but it's a relatively rapid build once everything is in place. The renovations on the bathhouse would probably continue for some time. So there is a lot of work that has to take place, but it's pretty straightforward work. As far as all these various projects, the normal process with a park upgrade or renovation of any sort is there's a series of public meetings that the Parks and Recreation Commission holds. We're invited to go to those as the representatives. The public is invited. Anybody with an interest is invited, and they can weigh in on the policy decisions, like what fees would be charged, any sticker programs, any income testing, any of that stuff is covered by the Parks and Rec Commission in their review process. And they can, they have the ability to change those things. So as these goes forward, the design and features of the Forest River pool are fairly set, are in fact pretty much set in stone, but some of the policies still will be developed. And I would encourage the members of this body, and I would encourage the members of the public all to try and all to take place, take a part in that process as this goes forward, because that is really the time when our voices make the most difference, and the commissioners will consider all this in figuring out how to run it. So that would be my words.
Councilor Morsillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to say that last Friday I did give Councilor Dibble a call to kind of go over some of the concerns he raised, because he had some good questions. And that sent me to call Jenna Ide to get some more details on how some of this process works. And so this might be helpful to you, Councilor Dominguez, also. She told me that every park project comes with a maintenance plan, and it's reviewed with the project. It's published, I believe, at the end stage when we know exactly what we're building in the park. And so that's available for the public to review. And certainly we should all keep an eye on that as counselors moving forward, making sure that the budget is available to follow those maintenance plans as they were set forth. The second thing is the ADA compliance for all of these new projects. It's all ADA compliant. Every new project will include ADA, everything that has to be ADA will be, and that's the way they've been moving forward. That doesn't mean that when they build the pool at Forest River Park, that everything within Forest River Park will be brought up to date. If we choose as a body that that's what we want to do, we could probably make that happen. But certainly the community room, the bath, the pool house or whatever, the changing rooms, the pool, the splash pad, all of that will all be ADA compliant. The parking lot access follows all the rules, just like at the Bertram Field Park that's being done right now. Everything is ADA compliant. And she sent me a ton of information, and I encourage anyone who has questions like that about these parks programs to give her a call. She's really quite helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will try not to repeat a lot of what was said already, although I probably want to. I just want to state that I do not take this amount as a light or small amount. 16 million is a lot, but I also know it is our fiscal responsibility to be smart with our borrowing and our lending. It kind of reminds me of watching Susie Orman like really late at night growing up, and remembering hearing her say, like, you can borrow for your college education, but you can't borrow for your retirement. There are things that you want to use your cash on hand for, and there are things that you want to borrow for. And a big park project like this, this large expenditure over an amount of time that's going to change and has construction costs, it makes sense. And rates are just historically low. I mean, I think probably a member on the board here, or we know of someone that has recently refinanced the mortgage, because rates are just so low right now. It's silly not to. So fiscally, it just makes sense to do. But why now? I mean, we are in a pandemic. It is scary. As somebody whose family has been cut in half because of, or not family, whose family income has been cut in half because of this pandemic, I totally understand it. Like, it is a scary, scary thought, and we need to be really careful with where we're spending our money. But parks are essential. My daughter hasn't seen a classroom in 9 months. We're inside all day. At the end of the day, we get out and we walk to the park. We get green space. We get the open air. It's equitable, as mentioned by many tonight, so I won't repeat all of that. I do also want to mention, though, the ADA piece. I think we have been using our voice really well this past year around that, because it is very important. As my fellow Councilor Flynn, I didn't see him, I thought he disappeared for a second. At the beginning of this year, your assistant Ward 4 counselor, like, that voice is a voice that is so great that we're having these conversations. We're making sure that maintenance, that ADA is at the top of everyone's mind. It's just very important, it's essential, and it's something that we should move on while we can and while it's fiscally smart to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? The only thing I would like to add is I consider myself very fortunate to live in Salem, and I can consider myself very fortunate to live where I do. And because I live where I do, I also have the ability to drive through the Willows Park and drive over to Winter Island on a daily basis. And when you look at, you know, the investment that we're going to be making in the parks for the future, the parks this year took a different turn. And I came up with, the only way I could describe it was the volume of people was probably the same, if not more, but the types of users of the park were different, and the way they used the park was different this year. You weren't seeing, as you know, people coming to the Willows and coming down to the line and going to play skee ball and video games and whatever, because those places were closed. But what they were doing was they were coming as a family unit or as an extended family unit, and they were spending the day, because some of these people had no other place to go. They may live in a section of Salem, or they're be in a position where they don't have a backyard, or they don't have a place where they feel comfortable, or they could go within their extended family. And, you know, as the pandemic evolved, we saw the mask ordinance and everything change and how we dealt with that. And that's a different discussion. But I would leave for work, and I think it was Tuesdays. And on Tuesdays, there was a group of veterans that used to get together. They'd be right over by the flagpole, right by the Willows, and they would all sit there and have their cup of coffee, and they'd all be distanced. You could tell they were all veterans. They all had insignia hats on for whatever, and they were just sitting there, because typically they would probably get together on a Tuesday and would be at a coffee shop someplace, and they didn't want to be outside, and they felt like they should be. I mean, they couldn't be inside, so they were outside. Or I'd drive over to the Winter Island, and you'd see the regular, you'd see the seniors all lined up along the water, you know, trying to take 5-10 minutes, get a walk, sit on a bench, have a cup of coffee, enjoy, get some fresh air. And you know, the parks, as everyone stated, the parks are the great equalizer. And it's an investment that I had the pleasure of serving on the Open Space and Rec Committee for Parks years ago, probably 15 years ago now. And the consultant that we hired back then was amazed at the amount of green space that a city like Salem has, and B, that the forefathers, people who were in these seats before us, had the sense and the vision and the foresight to make these areas dedicated parkland and make them available for everyone in the city of Salem for all the reasons we've been talking about. And if not during the pandemic, it became more evident that this is what we need to do. I understand the money is a huge amount of money, but for all the reasons everyone's talked about tonight, it may not be, you know, that you may question timing, but when you say that, I say, look at the parks, look who it serves. Our senior population, our most vulnerable population, and the kids need these things. They need to be invested in. Our forefathers, the people who sat in these seats before us, made these decisions to, you know, dedicate these land as parkland. And it's, you know, our job to reinvest in these to make sure that they're available for the next generation. So I'm going to leave it at that. I think everyone's pretty much had their say. Unless someone else. Council Sargent, then Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I'm in favor of this for a number of reasons. Of course, I respect the amount of emails that we get, but, you know, sometimes an email chain, you know, can tell us that certain people want it, but there are certain people opposed to it too that didn't do an email chain, so we have to respect that. You know, there's 40,000 people in Salem, and there's a certain amount for this and a certain amount might be against it. But that being said, I'm in favor of it for a number of reasons. But, you know, one thing I want to say first is that whoever's against it, I believe, has done their work, have their reasons, and we should not vilify anybody who votes against this. And that's the way democracy works. I mean, they're looking at $16 million one way, and some of us are looking at it another way. But it should never be taken lightly. And I respect their opinion. One thing I'm looking at, of course, the two things is the length of the bond and the low interest rate. But the other thing is, I know what the Parks and Park and Rec Department did for me as a child and as a young adult in Salem. And I didn't have to pay much money for that. And in essence, I'm looking at it like I do with the schools, that I didn't have to pay from when I was young, but I pay the city back by helping to pay for the programs that the future generations use. And it's, they paid it forward for us, and I'm looking to pay it forward for them. I still don't take the money lightly, but I think if it can do for those kids what it did for me, the next generation, then I'm so much in favor of that. And those parks kept us busy, kept us off the street, kept us away from bad things. And with this opiate epidemic, I mean, the pandemic is going to be over soon, but the opioid epidemic, which is more like a pandemic, is going to be around, unfortunately, for a while. And these parks and these programs and that pool are things that'll keep our kids busy and away from those kind of things. And that's a good amount of the reason that I'm supporting this. Council President mentioned councilors who sat in our seats. Well, Councilor Harrington, who went on to be the Senate President, was one of our coaches growing up. It was something to have a 6'9" basketball coach, and that really cared about you and cared about the city. Councilor Ruane, who went on to be the representative in the House of Representatives at the State House, was also one of our coaches. So, there's a history of this council caring a lot about the kids of Salem. So, I wish we could bring back the old jobs of, park instructor and summer jobs for kids, because the high school and college kids used to be our park instructors, but they also were around doing jobs like mowing the grass and fixing the stands and lining the baseball fields and things like that. And that was another way of keeping kids busy and off the street as they got older. So, for those and many other reasons, I'm very supportive of this. And I would say I don't take the money lightly, but I take the investment in the parks, which is an investment in our young people. I take that very seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to add on to the good at large, Councilor Sargent. Also being from Salem, I've used these parks my entire life. I grew up in Forest River with the pool, baseball fields, and I can second that it really is important for the youths growing up. But one thing that really changed me personally was a few years back when I met my assistant ward councilor, Tanis Price. And when he opened my eyes to what it is for someone that's in a wheelchair, or a friend of mine, Steve Kapanis, who can't see as well anymore. I think one of the most important things that we can do as a council is getting our city up to ADA standards. And again, it was great. We made some strides this year with two of our parks at the Bentley School and at the Common. And I think that was a good place to start. And what I would really like to see is that progress with this signature money, improving our parks. Obviously, as we make improvements, the ADA standards are going to follow along and be improved. I want to challenge us to do even more. I want us to be the premier city on the North Shore for ADA, because in my mind, one thing that I really feel, as I stated before, is this is probably the most important thing we can do as a council, is getting our facilities up to ADA standards. So again, I do support this, and I do want to thank Councilor Price for changing my views and just opening my eyes to how important this really is. Thank you again.
Thank you. Councilor Prosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too, along with all the other city councilors, have gotten numerous emails, and I've even gotten a few phone calls on both sides of the fence on this. I think the biggest concern for the taxpayers was how this was going to affect their taxes, and if their taxes are going to go up and how much they're going to go up. And again, there's a lot of variables in that. I think my brother Arthur Sargent said it wisely when he said that we're investing in our future, and we're investing in our parks for our future generations. What our parks have done for us, we're just passing it on to them. I also am in support of this bill. I think as a community, we haven't let the pandemic kick us and knock us down. This pandemic has hit us, but it hasn't stopped us from progressing. We're a strong community. We can absorb this. Our administrators have done a fine job with the finances. I think they have a good handle on what we can afford and what we can't afford. And I'm looking forward to seeing these parks beautified for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
President?
Council Sergeant.
Just quickly, just a little tribute. With every one of these parks comes usually a neighborhood association of unsung heroes that do a lot of the little things around the park outings. We used to go to Canby Lake when we were kids, and one of the biggest unsung heroes in our neighborhood was a man by the name of Maxie Talkowski. I think City Clerk Eileen Simmons might know him. Of course, he was her father. And, those kind of men and women took good care of us, and they're still out there today. And with this money, I think that'll bring a lot of life to those unsung heroes who get involved and want to keep these parks up and keep the programs up and do a lot of the things that you never hear about, but happen, with the kids in the neighborhood and the families around the park. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Hopefully my feedback's a little better. All right, here we go. Councilor Dibble?
No.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
Councilor Flynn?
Yes.
Councilor Hopworth?
Yes.
Councilor Madore?
Yes.
Councilor Marcillo?
Yes.
Councilor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi?
Yes.
Thank you, Councilor Sargent. And Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Torrio?
Yes.
And Councilor McCarthy?
Yes. On the matter of the bond order in the amount of $16,100,000 for the Signet Parks Improvement Plan, we have 11 members voting, 10 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. The matter carries. Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for immediate reconsideration in the hope it does not prevail.
Councilor Torrio moves for immediate consideration. Holds not prevailed. Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilor Dibble?
No.
Councilor Dominguez?
No.
Councilor Flynn?
No.
Councilor Hopworth?
No.
Councilor Madore?
No.
Councilor Marcillo?
No.
Councilor Prosnewski?
Oh.
Councilor Riccardi?
No.
Councilor Sargent?
No.
Councilor Torrio?
No.
And Councilor McCarthy?
No. On the matter of reconsideration, we have 11 members voting, 11 in the negative. The matter is not reconsidered. Further committee reports. Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, can you hear me now? I just
Yep.
Okay. City of Salem, in City Council, December 10th, 2020. The Committee on Public Health, Safety, Environment, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of gas ban ordinance, has considered said matter and would recommend to send the draft ordinance on gas ban to the city solicitor for her legal review, for her to have the ordinances set in City of Salem format, and to return her comments to the committee within 90 days, and that the Rule 31B be suspended, and that the above council order be carried over to the next year, 2021.
On acceptance of the reports, all those in favor? All those opposed, let the record reflect this. 10 hands plus my own. On adoption of the recommendation, Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. Really straightforward. We had a very brief committee meeting looking to get some of clarification in terms of legalities from our city solicitor and to have the ordinance reworked a little bit. So with that, we'll be meeting again in the new year with comments from the city solicitor on this issue.
Thank you.
And I move for, I guess do I need to move for adoption on this, Mr. President?
Yep, move for adoption.
Move for adoption.
Now to be sent to committee. Oh, that's still going to, the 31B be invoked and that this matter is referred to the city solicitor. Is that correct?
Not the matter, just to have the ordinance reviewed. The matter will remain in committee.
Okay.
And carried over to next year, as I just said.
Yep. Anyone else? Seeing none, adoption of the recommendation that the matter remain in committee and that and carried over under Rule 31B and that the draft be sent to the city solicitor for her opinion. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record reflect as our 10 plus my own. Council Dibble.
City of Salem, in City Council, December 10th, 2020. The Committee on Public Health, Safety, Environment, co-posted with Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of the Green Buildings Ordinance, has considered said matter and would recommend to send the draft ordinance to the draft ordinance on green buildings to the city solicitor for her legal review, for her to have the ordinances set in City of Salem format and to return her comments to the committee within 90 days, and that the Rule 31B be suspended, and that the above council order be carried over to the next year, 2021.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record reflect as our 10 hands plus my own. Adoption of the recommendation. Under discussion, Council Dibble.
No, this is really straightforward. Same as the previous comments. We did get an update from Jeff Cohen on the CERC committee on the progress on this. The city solicitor I spoke to still has not seen this, although Mr. Cohen thought that she had. But Beth Renard, our city solicitor, is anxious to see this for us and to comment. And as I understand, the city planning department is working with CERC and possibly others to rewrite the ordinance, if you would, to address a lot of the realtors' concerns and get it back to us. So I'm looking forward to having a public hearing on this once it's revised and commented on by the city solicitor. So I motion for acceptance.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, and Councilor Dibble's recommendation that this matter be carried over under Rule 31B and that the matter be referred to, the matter be sent to the city solicitor to be sent back within 90 days with her recommendations and thoughts with regards to the ordinance. All those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record reflect as our 10 hands plus my own. Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's see. City of Salem, in City Council, December 10th, 2020. The Committee on Public Health, Safety, and Environment, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of carrying matters forward, has considered said matter and would recommend that Rule 31B be suspended and that the attached council orders be carried over to the next year, 2021.
Before we do that one, Councilor, I think you missed one. Did you miss the council report on the use of single-use plastics, plastic straws, styrofoam cigarette butt litter, and alcohol nip bottles litter?
No, the committee took no action on that, so therefore the city clerk made it clear that no committee report was needed on that. That.
Yep, so you're carrying that over under the Rule 31B.
Yes, I'm carrying over 4 matters that are in committee.
Okay, I got you. Makes perfect sense to me. Okay. On Councilor Dibble's on acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record reflect this on 10 hands plus my own. On adoption of the recommendation, on discussion, I seeing none.
Really, Mr. President, I just move for adoption.
Councilor Dibble moves for adoption on all the matters on his sheet that he's going to give to the city clerk be carried over under Rule 31B for the next carried into the year 2021. All those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record reflect this on 10 hands plus my own. Thank you, Councilor. Councilor, further committee reports. Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Council President. City of Salem, in City Council, December 10th, 2020. The Committee on Government Services, to whom was referred carrying matters forward has considered said matter and would recommend that Rule 31B be suspended and that the attached council orders be carried over to the next year, 2021. And I'm looking for acceptance of the report.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed, let the record reflect this. 10 hands plus my own. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Councilor Flynn.
Yes, basically, you know, there were several issues that are on there that I want to carry over. I want to carry over all of them that was on there before I was the chairman of that committee. I was hoping that we were going to be meeting back in person this fall, but it never happened. I apologize. We didn't get to hear any of these, so I do want to carry them over. I do have a question for the council president. As I was ending the meeting where we adjourned, I did see a hand up. I believe it was Mr. Cohen, and the meeting was over. Is there any way, if he's on here, he could speak, or if anyone had something to speak that I didn't see that? That was the first time that I was a host of a meeting. So I just want to know if that was all right, if anyone objected, if someone...
That's fair, but let's, in all honesty, if you're carrying over all the matters that meeting is procedural, just to carry the matters forward. So if anyone has any concerns about anything you're carrying over, then they can bring it up whenever a meeting is scheduled next year. So.
Okay, like I said, I apologize. I did not see the hand up till we were adjourning, so that's why I brought this to your attention.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then I'd look for adoption of the recommendation.
On seeing any further discussion, seeing none, on Councilor Flynn's recommendation that all the matters in his committee that he has listed on the sheet be carried over under Rule 31B to the next year of 2021. All those in favor? All those opposed, let the record reflect this. 10 hands plus my own. Anyone else? Before I call on Councilor Sargent, I just want to once again thank everyone. And I also want to, I'm going to go beyond this. I also want to thank every single one of your significant other, husband, wife, extended family, because we all, as I know, we all can't do this without them. And this was a very trying year for us all. And I really want to extend my thanks to all of them as well as me. I mean, I thanked all of you guys last meeting. I want to thank my own wife. I want to thank my own kids. I want to thank all your wives, all your husbands, all your kids. I just want to give Councilman Dawes' kids a hug. I mean, God, it's been a while since I've seen them. But it's, in all seriousness, to you, to all of you, to the city, to our city clerks, all of them and their spouses and significant others. I really want to say thank you, and I want everyone to have a very safe and happy holiday season. I know that the city clerk's going to be bugging out of this meeting to go to Hanukkah.
Waiting for me.
Yeah, so
Speaking of family, hi Stella.
to get out of here. So, Councilor Sargent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also like to wish everyone a safe and Merry Christmas, a safe and happy Hanukkah, and a safe and happy holiday season. I move for adjournment.
Councilor Sargent moves for adjournment. All those in favor? All those opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, everybody.